Have you ever gotten diphtheria? No, probably not. So you can thank modern science for that. A lot of medical advancements have occurred in the 20th century that have truly made an impact in our lives. While researching this topic, I feel that I have gained the knowledge necessary to inform you about the miraculous medical advancements of the 20th century. These medical advancements that I have found range from discoveries to treatments, and I feel the topics that I mention are the most credible inventions of science this century. So I'll now discuss with you the major medical advancements starting in 1901. So actually in 1922, insulin was first used to treat diabetes. Before the invention of insulin, physicians were restricting their patients to very low-calorie diets with minimal carbohydrate intake, which ended in them dying of starvation. Could you imagine? So in 1922, Leonard Thompson, a 14-year-old boy who was dying from diabetes, became the first person to receive a dose of insulin, and within 24 hours, his blood sugars returned to normal. Also in the 1920s, the Band-Aid was invented. Earl Dickinson invented the Band-Aid after seeing his wife having to dress her wounds from cooking in such an intricate way. She used separate gauze and adhesive tape that you would have to cut to size and apply yourself. They would not last very long on her fingers, so Earl came up with the Band-Aid, a sterile form of adhesive tape with gauze in the center of it that you could easily apply yourself. Vaccines are made during this time to ward off diphtheria, whooping cough, tuberculosis, and tetanus. Early symptoms of diphtheria are close to the common cold. They include sore throat, loss of appetite, and fever. As the disease progresses, a thick gray substance called a pseudomembrane spreads over the nasal tissues, tonsils, larynx, and the pharynx. The medical solution for this before the vaccine was to insert a tube into the victim's throat, which prevented them from suffocating due to the pseudomembrane. The first successful vaccine for diphtheria was created in 1913 by Emil von Behring. Whooping cough is a highly contagious respiratory disease which causes violent coughing, which makes it difficult to breathe. This is also the very characteristic cough, the whooping cough. So by the 1920s, about 6,000 children died of whooping cough. This was a huge pandemic. Tuberculosis is also a horrible respiratory disease, and many patients cough up blood. Treatment before the vaccine was bed rest, special diets, and fresh air. Thanks to modern medicine, most tuberculosis cases can be treated with antibiotics. Tetanus is also a terrifying and painful disease that was contracted through open wounds meeting infected soil. The disease caused muscle spasms, lockjaw, joint stiffness, and difficulty swallowing. This was a very scary disease before the vaccine was discovered. So let's move on to the 1940s and 50s. The first vaccine for influenza is discovered. Since it was found that influenza can mutate, there are updated vaccines for every year. So this is why each season we go and take our flu vaccine, if you choose to. In the 1950s, the first cardiac pacemaker is invented. When the first pacemaker was invented and implanted in a 77-year-old man, he lived 10 months after surgery. Vaccines are also made to ward off measles, mumps, rubella, chickenpox, and pneumonia. These vaccines were discovered in the same way as the other vaccines by taking samples of blood from infected individuals and isolating the bacteria that was at fault. So finally, the last bit of the 20th century. By 1980, smallpox is eradicated. Now, I know I didn't talk about the smallpox vaccine, but this was a huge milestone for the United States and a huge medical achievement that I just wanted to include in here. Also, vaccines were developed for hepatitis A and B, and hepatitis A and B both impact liver function, and so it was really important that these vaccines came about. Finally, the artificial kidney dialysis machine was invented by Willem Kolff. His original work started out as a junkyard challenge, building his machine parts from orange juice cans and sausage skins due to limited supplies after World War II. This brought him little success. So through time, he improved his machine and it was ready to be used for dialysis patients. Could you imagine what life would be like without these discoveries? Today I was able to share with you major medical advancements of the 20th century. As you see, these medical advancements have made a huge change in our lives by preventing illnesses and helping with medical treatments. After listening to this speech, I hope you've gained a better understanding of how far we've come in the past 100 years and how much science has changed our lives. Thank you.